Today's episode is sponsored by the City of Dublin's Division of Economic Development. The City of Dublin provides world-class, tailored business services and resources to ensure the best possible environment for businesses to recruit talent and thrive. Because of this strategic focus and commitment to employer growth, Dublin is the only accredited economic development organization in the state of Ohio. The City of Dublin supports startups and entrepreneurs by offering targeted resources and training programs to grow companies that are financially sustainable, innovative, and committed to creating jobs. Learn how other businesses depend on Dublin. Visit thriveindublinohio.com. 614 Startups Nation, welcome to another episode of the 614 Startups Podcast. My name is Elio Harmon, your host, and I'm back for a very exciting episode. Man, I've been looking forward to this conversation. Unfortunately, due to circumstances, we had to reschedule multiple times, but we're finally sitting down with Ganesh, and please correct me on this last name, Gandhieswaran. Am I saying that right?
Gandhieswaran.
Oh, excuse me, Gandhieswaran. Okay.
Yes.
I knew I would struggle with that, but I appreciate you correcting me. And I'm ready to have this conversation with you, but I always like to start my conversation by getting to know my guest. So who's Ganesh, and how did you come to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, Elio, great connecting with you, and great to be with this podcast, and great to share some what we are doing and all that. So first off, I'm Ganesh. I'm a co-founder and CEO of ConverSight.ai. We are an Indianapolis-based startup. We've been running this company, the startup, for last 4 years. We founded this ConverSight.ai after my 15 years of experience in the data analytics space, and in the last 4 years, we have done a lot of stuff in terms of building the platform and deploying it for 100 plus customers and growing faster. So just getting started in the startup journey. So great to be here.
Okay, great. Well, what inspired you to become a founder? I mean, what was it to say, hey, this is the life for me. I have a solution that I want to build, and I think becoming a founder and entrepreneur is the best way to solve this problem?
I think to start with, I always had that in my mind that I was not going to just work and retire with a company, and rather I wanted to start something on my own. I think that fire was on all the time, but I was kind of waiting for that moment, perfect moment, right? When I was working in the companies, I always used to say that I am learning what to do and what not to do, and somebody giving me the stipend for that. And all those learnings, what to do and what not to do, I need to apply in my own company, kind of idea. Almost for, I would say, like good 5 to 7 years that was cooking. And I was waiting for the right time. It could be like in terms of the family, in terms of settling and all that. And it was 2016. When I was almost ready. Okay, this is the time we should do it, right? But then idea was not a problem, because I was leading a data analytics team. I was with a company called Cognizant, leading data analytics, or a consulting company in the IT services side. I used to be leading a large data analytics team focusing on manufacturing, automotives, logistics, a lot of companies. I was so overwhelmed with the amount of data the companies were capturing, like they call ERP, CRM, telematics, IoT, you name it. And you have a lot of databases, a lot of servers, thousands of servers, and millions of dollars in terms of capturing the data. But then you always ask a question that, why do you capture this data, right? And someday somebody will make a meaningful insights from that data. And that will help your company to do something better. Maybe create a better product, or serve better with your customers, or grow more faster, all that. But that was a point where I see that most of the companies, even today, that they capture a lot of data rich, but information poor. They struggle for information. So it was a tipping point in 2016 when I was, involved in a large sales analytics implementation. So it's for a large 600 plus people where we were deploying this. And after like 4 months, I was asking my team that, how are things going? We put a lot of effort and millions of dollars spent, and who's using it? To our surprise, hardly like 10%, not even 10% of the people were using it. I knew that company really well, and it was a very matured company, and they would want data analytics, insights. They're an insights-driven organization. So I know one way or other, all the leaders are getting insights, but without using the system, how are they getting the insight? So I decided to spend a couple of days with them. I kind of said, like, I'm not coming to any other place. I used to be in a traveling job. I said, I'm just going to be in this place for 2 days and just figure out what's happening. And let's spend entire day with them. Right? I was with sales managers, VP of sales, and director of sales, a lot of people. I realized one thing, that everyone is consuming insights by just calling someone. They call, hey, Mike, can you get me this report at this? And Mike will go to the system which we built at that time and get that information. So what they were doing, they were asking a question to someone. They are asking a question to get someone to get information. Maybe they are busy. Maybe.
Let me ask you this, okay?
Yeah.
I have to play the devil's advocate now in the conversation a little bit. Is that they needed the data, or did they need the insights? And what they were asking for is insight and not the data. I just want you to consider that and maybe share with me if that was part of your discovery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes. I think when you are really thinking about a functional business user, they're always looking for insights. Yes. Mm-hmm. So there is a process. You need to convert the data to the insight, and that's what they were looking for. But the system which we built have those insights in the form of dashboards and reports. Lot of dashboards, lot of reports. The insights are there. I would say like more of what happened inside. It may not be like, more of, future insight maybe. But the leaders were not going and accessing that system. Rather, they were asking someone. Rather, maybe most of the time they are on the road. They are on the way to the customer. They need to know, what did this customer do for last 12 months? What did they buy? How are we doing on the profitability and delivery on time? They need a lot of information before going to the customer meeting, a lot of insights. But they don't have time, or they're not familiar in the technology to get that information. They simply ask someone.
All right, Ganesh, I know you're trying to get somewhere, but I'm looking to learn too.
Yeah, sure.
So we know typically when we go to who we consider a subject matter expert, particularly for the sales team, we are looking to build a business case, a use case, right? We're looking to see, before I engage that customer, I need to know what to talk to them about, what's important to them.
Yes.
But how about the issue of when the data or the insight doesn't match our narrative? I think sometimes that is the apprehension of leaders to really dig deep into insights. It's an unfortunate thing.
Yes.
Because they want to tell a certain story. And if the data is not telling that story, there's a little hesitance, right?
Yes.
To really rely on the data and the insights, because we're all looking for data to support our narratives. Did you see some of that as a factor in the hesitation to use data and insight?
Oh, absolutely. I think if like for example, the analyst like Gartner would rate the data analytics adoption is, sub 20% in any organization. The reasons are there are a lot of surveys done. The reasons are, as you were mentioning, right? One is that apprehension. Second is they don't trust the data. One, it's not telling the story. Second, it's telling an incorrect story, data quality issues. The third is where they don't know how to get it. They're super busy, or it's too complex to get it, all that, right? So, and fourth is like too much. There are too many systems. Like I used to be in a company, and then, for employee, I'm the business leader. I want to know all my expenses go to this system, this technology, this, click here, click here. Or if I want sales metric, go to this system, click here, click here. Like overwhelming, right? So the trust is definitely critical, right? So if the information, what is available in the system, is it telling me the story? Is it telling me the correct story or accurate story from a quality standpoint? And is it easy to access with? And do I have time to get 3 different systems and get digest? Do I have time, and do I have skill? The skill, time, trust, and availability of the information itself, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you took the day, right? I'm not going to go on the road. I'm going to spend time here. And you made the observation that it wasn't that the system wasn't being used. The system wasn't being used by everyone who needed it. They were going to a bottleneck, asking for insight and receiving that insight. So they were going to a person. So when did the light bulb come on for you as you're making this observation?
Yeah. So, see, I personally have a motto like own the outcome. So I used to always say to myself, to my team, everybody, that if we are doing something, even this podcast, it's not like sharing about you or sharing about me. We need to share something which will benefit the audience, everybody. So that's the outcome. And if everybody is coming and spending their next 30, 40 minutes to hear this podcast, they're looking for something. So that's an outcome, right? So owning the outcome is critical. And in that job when I was doing, if the leaders are not getting that insights quickly when they need it, and they are waiting for someone to answer the phone or someone to respond the email, that means we are not meeting their outcome. That's not really, right? So that we are not really owning the outcome. So we need to figure that out. So that was the time I had that problem. I was digesting. I wish I could solve this problem. I wish I could solve the problem, right? So this is a problem I have, and I see there is a market for this. If I have a solution, I'm sure these leaders would take it, love it. And that was the time, late 2016, I met another gentleman. His name is Gopinath in Indianapolis. And he's my co-founder today and the CTO. And I knew him maybe just 2-3 months before. I met him in an innovation conference. He was showing something what I could not imagine. Like, he was showing something in an augmented reality. You wear something, a mic and a glass, and you can visualize a 3D image of a machine and repair it. Kind of. That's too much. Wow! Like, this guy knows something. So then I asked him that, Gopi, I really want to, just let's have a coffee. And obviously we both were in the job and it was 2 busy days. So we said, let's pick up at Friday, 4 o'clock and 4 to 5, right? We'll pick up a time. So he got here and we started, and he was so hesitant to come, it's Friday, like, come or not. He came and I was telling about my experience and my frustration, rather, I want to solve, and I know you are solving some future problem and I have a current problem. We started talking about it. He suddenly threw, Ganesh, did you hear about a thing called Alexa, where it's a device where you can ask a question, you'll get an answer? I said, that was a light bulb moment. Wow. What if I have that kind of a system in this data analytics? While everybody is just asking the question, they don't need to wait to get an answer. They can get an answer immediately. That 1 hour scheduled meeting, or just a chit chat, coffee chat, like, extended to 4 hours. We were talking till like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. And I think that was the day, logically, when we started the company. I think logically, even though it took after 6 months where we were ideating, are we the best partners and all that kind of story. But that was the moment I felt, yes, I have the problem. I know a lot of leaders need this solution, and this guy can build this. Let's do it together. That's kind of how it started.
All right. So let's dig into what happens when a company gathers data
Yes.
but doesn't use it. What are the real world consequences of the company as you described
Yeah.
it, with salespeople going to someone, depending on that person's interpretation or maybe even the system's interpretation? But let's paint a picture for a moment
Yep.
of this lack of usage of all of this data is being. What are the consequences of that?
So let's take an example. We have a couple of. I'll take a company. They're an e-commerce company. They're selling a lot of stuff, a perishable good. Think about a lot of candies, a lot of perishable goods there in online. Now they have marketing department. They are doing all kind of promotions, Google, Facebook, all that places. They have sales teams focused on overall sales, retail sales, wholesale, all that. And they are responsible. They have a forecast to meet and all that. And then they have supply chain team. They are taking care of making sure all the inventory, all the stuff is available in 3 different warehouses, the Chicago, New York, and in California. So there are 3 different teams. Right? Now they capture a lot of data. They are capturing forecast. They are capturing sales data from who's buying, how often they are buying. All the data is available. Data, not insights. Data is available. And then supply chain team has all their data, like how much stock we have, when it's going to expire, all that data. Now, in a company like this, if they just keep the data, what happens? This is happening in many companies. The sales team, so supply chain team has, I have 5,000 quantities of this product, which is expiring in December. And they look at the sales, they're just selling 500 a month. I have 5,000. So we may end up throwing away almost 2,000 items. What do we do? At that time, it's supply chain's problem. Now, if we convert that as an insight, that, we have this much stock, this is the forecast for next 5 months, this much excess you have. And send that information to sales teams, that insight. Now the sales team get, I am selling item B, and you are showing item A has more, expiring items soon. So I should better sell A, not B. Now you give the same data to the marketing department. They will be crazy. Oh man, as a company, we can't afford to throw away the 2,000 quantities of this item. Let me come up with a promotion. You order 12 and you get, 10% discount and all that kind of a crazy promotion. If that data is not available, marketing team will promote for products which they don't have enough in stock and, end up showing out of stock and not selling.
All right. So let me jump in, because I want to stay with this becoming a supply chain problem. Because the supply chain, if the problem rests there and there alone, meaning the data sharing doesn't happen,
yes,
sales doesn't take action, marketing doesn't take action, supply chains then operate in this just in time as their only solution. Meaning, we can't move this product. And so now a 2020 happens with a supply chain that is operating solely in just in time. And it takes so long for the supply chain to recover. Whereas maybe if the world was operating with insight, right, where everyone was speaking to everyone, the supply chain issues that we're experiencing may have been mitigated. Am I tracking?
Absolutely. You are spot on. I think, in fact, now within 2 years, we are in the opposite side. A lot of companies were just in time. And that was killing when pandemic started and we couldn't get stock, and a lot of companies were out of stock and all that. Now everybody let's get more stock. Now what happened? They have a lot of stock inventory, Now interest rates are up. It's so costly to get the cash. Now you have, millions of dollars of inventory sitting in your warehouse. What do you do? How do you accelerate that? How do you sell more faster? You need insights. All these companies have CRM, ERPs, forecast, all in siloed. Until you make this speak to each other, even I will tell you, not 100% accuracy. Even if you have a 90% accuracy, even if it could give you the signal, you can deep dive. I can keep on going.
Okay, Ganesh. Listen, this conversation is too good, okay? So you're sucking me in just like you sucked in your CTO who was solving this future problem. You have me squarely in the present, right? With this idea that you can use data to create insight, and that insight can transform businesses. But if we think bigger, could potentially transform our economy. All right, folks, you've been listening to my guest. I'm going to try his last name one more time. Ganesh Gandhieswaran.
Wow, you did it.
Of ConverSight AI. All right, thank you. Stay with us. We're going to hear a few messages, and we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by Rev1. Rev1's mission is to help entrepreneurs build great companies. As you navigate the waters of business entrepreneurship, you don't have to go it alone. A strategic partnership with Rev1 connects innovators to the talent, customers, space, and funding you need when you need it. Get started with Rev1 Startup Studio by visiting rev1ventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is rev1ventures.com. This episode is brought to you by KJK. Tired of the billable hour? KJK has a solution. The KJK GC Advantage program offers businesses comprehensive legal services in the areas of employment, corporate services, real estate, trademark, intellectual property, and estate planning, all for a set monthly fee. KJK serves as their clients' partners in business, not just their lawyers. Along with cost certainty and predictability, the KJK GC Advantage program gives clients peace of mind, knowing their projects will be handled quickly and efficiently, maximizing the return on investment on their legal spend. So don't go it alone, let KJK help. Learn more by visiting kjk.com. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. I am returning to my conversation with Ganesh Gandhieswaran of ConverSight as we dig deeper into this issue of data, insights, and how to apply it. Okay, Ganesh, you have us on the edge of our seats. Okay, we know the problem is massive, it's even global, and it feels like we're moving from one extreme of not enough supply to oversupply. And could the answer be as simple as insight? So let's talk about how you go through the process at your company of solving this problem.
Yeah, I think just to answer it's not just insights, it's insights and action, right? It's both. But to take a good action, you need solid insights. So now, how do we get that insight, right? So as we discussed, all the companies have data. And more companies have data in cloud. So most of the companies, so today, even as a startup, I have QuickBooks, HubSpot, like you name it, Kata, like lot of software. I have no clue on where it is. I don't have the server. I don't have the database. It's all cloud. So that's kind of the reality today. Most of the companies have the best solution on each domain, being HR, being supply chain, CRM, all cloud solutions. And very few large companies, enterprises still have some homegrown solutions, right? So the data is safely there and the data can be extracted. Step one, either reading directly from the database or through consuming through some interfaces. So now the step one of this journey is data sync. So you need to synchronize data, move data from your system to an analytic system. We do it in a couple of parts. We do it partially. We can leverage what customer has. So I'll give you a couple of examples. So step one is get the data. Step two is how do you now convert the data into insights, and story. So I'll get into a little bit more around story. So data and story. So when somebody asks, okay, I got sales data, it'll have sales order amount and item, quantity and all that. But when a leader comes, right, you take two leaders, a supply chain leaders coming. Hey, how much we sold for XYZ items, right? How many TVs we sold. So you need to give, okay, you sold 2,000 quantities. When a CFO comes and asks, hey, what was my sales for TV last week? And you need to give the dollar value. The question is same. What was my sales for last week? If it's coming from an operational supply chain person, the person may look for number of items. A finance person may look for dollar. So what does that mean is you need to understand the context of what this person wants from this data. So for that, what we do is, okay, you got the data, maybe from one system or multiple systems. We got the integrated data. We attach something called knowledge, a knowledge graph. The knowledge graph will help us, like how you and me are talking, the way the CFO and the CEO and the VP of supply chain can speak to the system. So that is kind of the third step. Data sync, integration, integrated data, knowledge addition on the data. And fourth part is providing that insights, both proactively, like a data story, and on demand, like asking a question. That's kind of 4 steps.
Okay.
What we do.
Okay, so let's go through each step. Let's go with the data. So data believability was one of the issues. Data trust and data quality. When you're looking at your target customer, how do you approach the issue of data? Or do you just take whatever data they provide you and begin the process? How do you look at data when you first get started with a customer?
So we will focus initially on what I call a data completeness. So when I say data completeness, go and get, let's continue the same e-commerce example. Going and giving, okay, you have 5,000 quantities of items. It's not going to tell any story. It's 5,000. What's the context in which I need to look at it? You have 5,000 items, and based on your historical sales or maybe your future forecast, you have 10 months of stock. And by the way, it's expiring in 5 months. You have 10 months of stock expiring in 5 months. That's a red flag. So that is what I'm calling completeness. Inventory, forecast, historical sales. These 3 together, and expiry date, for example, if it is a perishable. All these 4 will give me a story. This is what I'm calling completeness. So step 1 we are doing is, okay, you have an outcome. What is your outcome? You want to optimize your inventory. That means I need your supply, I need your demand, I need your inventory. Then let the system analyze and tell you the story. So that is completeness. Then you pointed out, right, the quality, the trustability and all that. There we do some data audits. It's like there are some abnormal behavior. You get a sales order. Every sales order is like $200 e-commerce. And suddenly you get a sales order with $20,000. That's something you need to review. That's an abnormal. So today we have a lot of machine learning algorithms and all those. It's easy to spot those anomalies. We call data anomalies. You can point out those. That's a step 2. Before you look at the data, hey, this data, we got it. The data is as recent as at this time, but we see these red flags, these yellow flags, pointing them. There may be an analyst type, may not be the CFO's job to read that, maybe a data analyst or a business analyst who can review that and take a call is data is good or no, right? So that's kind of, today we have machine learning algorithms to score the quality of the data. No longer you need to guess.
So the first value proposition, it sounds like, even before you move over to insights and then action, is just helping your customer improve the context and potentially the quality of their data. Is that a fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, once we have context and we address some of the kind of surface level data anomalies or issues, you said that you now move into integration. So I'm sure you have to do this across multiple platforms, as you described, right? Calendly, QuickBooks, all of these softwares that we have to make our lives easier, and this proliferation that happens to help run these organizations. So data from everywhere. How do you integrate that once you get past the first stage and move into the second stage?
See, we have a platform through which we can integrate. We have integrated close to 130 different systems today. So we have a lot of ready-made integrations available. But if we go to a customer, if they have already integrated. So recently we were working with another large retailer, and they have integrated all their e-commerce and store sales, all the data. They already built a nice and easy data warehouse. So in that context, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. They already have it, start consuming from that. So start the storytelling part from their integrated data. But if they don't have integrated data, then we deploy our tools, our integration modules. There are two more ways you can, there are some, we call a business analyst or a data engineer. A business analyst will more a drag and drop and screen, you do the data integration, connect and all that. The other approach is more a Python, like a little bit more program intensive code. There are some people like it, right? So it depends on where they are, what they can choose which package they want, and they choose that and they do that. We help them to do data integration. It's somewhat, I would say, like a term I want to bring in here. It's called augmented, right? So it's, in like 5 years back, 10 years back, when I used to be doing all the data analytics, we have to go map like one by one. It's a time-consuming, tedious process. But now we have a lot of automation. The moment you give, okay, this is my data, this is my another data, the system will actually identify how do we connect. And I would say like 70% of that kind of integration is highly automated nowadays. There are a lot of systems, right, including ours. But you need to integrate, you need two things. One, obviously, access to all the data. Second is some knowledge on the functional subject matter knowledge, right? Whether you are doing an inventory or whether you are in supply chain or finance, some knowledge, if you have that, you can make that 70% automated to 100% integration. That's kind of how it happens.
So a vast majority of my audience are first-time founders. And for a first-time founder, with who now, after listening to our conversation, is starting to put a premium on data and insight, meaning they're like, okay, I'm tracking with you. Should we be thinking as founders of integration at the beginning of the process, or is integration now so automated that even if we didn't think of it in the beginning, getting to an integrated state is not a heavy lift? I want you to give advice to first-time founders in terms of all of these disparate systems that they're utilizing to build the company. Should integration be part of their strategy?
I would say no. I think should not get into the integration. If the objective is, the outcome, in my view, is providing insights, actionable insights. If that is the outcome you are tracking, we should not spend too much time on integration. Rather, we look for customers where the integrated data is available. So you can prove your value, the time to market, much, much quicker. But so we started like that, right? If you ask me in 2017, 2018, we focused completely on consumption. like generating insights and story and all that. And then when we track, okay, that was getting into set of customers, matured customers. And then we saw, okay, there is a lot of mid-market customers where we can go, but integration is not done. But integration is not easy. Integration is time-consuming task. Even today, after 4 years, I can't say we'll do integration with everything. We have built integration with few software, and we go to the market for those integrations. And if something new come, we have some partners. We have system integrator partners who could come and do integration. Right? We don't reinvent. Start small, validate the approach, and then do only what's really required.
Yeah, don't get distracted by the bells and whistles, right? You still have a lot of work to do as an early stage founder. You can get to integration later.
I think very, very,
so
very important is, especially with your technical team and you're working, you need to watch, because it's easy for any technology leader building is so easy for them. Then, integrating with third party and all that. But then go to market, if you put a lot of technology, your price will go up, all that kind of stuff, isn't it? So today we are in an ecosystem where we need to live along with many other SaaS players. So it's better not to do everything and have a lot of friends who can do one, who can do another, and then you do this best.
Yeah. Okay. Terrific. So now we're on to level 3 or step 3 in the process. And I can remember knowledge, but you described it as knowledge. What was that third phase exactly? And what do you do?
So, now we got all the data, and we need to make context out of the data and make it ready for different individuals. So we attach a knowledge, contextual knowledge. And so the contextual knowledge is that what is this term called? Somebody will call sales, somebody will call revenue, somebody is calling order amount. Somebody called product, somebody will refer the same thing called SKU or an item. So different names are there and different way people will colloquially refer. So that is one type of knowledge. And the second type of knowledge is, what is the journey? Like if you are a salesperson, if you are asking questions around, hey, who are my top 10 customer, what did they buy? Can you give me the top 10 products by revenue? Then you are asking profitability. So there is a journey in which you are traversing with this data, like let's call it a lake, right? So there is a path, right? With the AI's help, we are learning the behavior of these people. If one solid analytics-driven salesperson is available, if that person is interact with this AI, Athena, the AI what we have built, Athena now start giving that insight to that person and also apply that same learning for many other salespeople. When they ask a question, answer the question, and then, hey, Mike, do you need this? Preempt them with what else they can do with this data, with this insight, and what next where they need to go. So if you can imagine a graph, that's where I used the term knowledge graph, we can track what is the path in which they are traversing and guide them the next step. So in that context, they will get answers to the question they can think, as well as the questions which they never thought of asking, both.
Okay, so I waited for you to use AI first because I didn't want to lead the witness. But part of this solution is the utilization of AI. Now, I would like to define AI in the context of ConverSight. What is your definition of AI?
See, AI is, my co-founder would say that AI is not a software. AI is an outcome. AI is an outcome of machine learning, data science, all that. It's an outcome. So the outcome is really automating something which it takes days for us to do, or months for us to do, or it's not possible to imagine, like something which is not possible for us. So that's what AI is supposed to, that outcome, right? So in our context, there are 2 or 3 steps we are applying AI. Number one, as our name says, is ConverSight. It's conversational insight. Conversational AI we are applying. So we are understanding the natural language. So how a human is coming and asking a question, step one is to understand what is the question? What does that mean technically? And what is the context in which they are asking, right? Like you can ask, what's my revenue for last year? Okay, 23 million. Give me by customer. Give me by customer what? The revenue of last year, the context in which you're asking. So you can't make a meaning of every question separately. You need to make a meaning of the entire conversation. That's the AI we built. And very important there is, it's not always just you ask a question, Athena answer. Many times the human, somebody ask a question, Athena will have no clue. Like a new employee, you hire a new employee, you go ask a question. What do you mean? So we have something called a did you mean? So you ask a question, Athena will try to self-correct. Hey, did you mean this? So clarify it. And during that clarification, during that journey, Athena is learning. Adaptive learning. Athena's adaptively learning. And that is one of the technology we have, and we have patented the technology. We have an approved patent on that.
Okay, so I like this.
Yep.
So here's my question. Since Athena is learning from its interactions with the users, is Athena only as good as the users teaching it? Meaning, in company A, if we have more, we'll call them proficient teachers, and company B doesn't have that many proficient teachers, the outcomes for company A and company B in terms of the quality of Athena's interaction with them, in terms of retrieving exactly what they need, it could be that there could be accelerated learning by Athena in company A, where that learning could lag in company B. Have you come across that or thought about that? What are your thoughts on that?
So Athena's learning is not always subject to that company. So Athena as an employee we are giving to multiple customers. In 2017, when Athena started the first company, yes, Athena learned. When Athena started going to the second company, took the second job, Athena carried forward a lot of knowledge from the job one. So today, when Athena is starting in a new company, Athena's already like 70 to 80% with knowledge. Like inventory. You know what? People will ask how much stock we have in 12 different ways. How much stock we have, how much inventory we have, what's a on-hand quantity, what's quantity on it. There are multiple ways people ask the question. Athena knew all this because of that years of experience. So Athena is getting better. A company who's using Athena today and maybe a company using 2 years later, there is a benefit for them.
All right, so I'll keep picking at this, because how about across industries? So I get the idea of stock, quantity, SKUs. These are interchangeable terms, retail, manufacturing, supply, across the industry, right? But do you find, or are you specifically targeting industries where Athena's experience prepares the AI for greater success? Meaning you're looking at maybe retail in really having Athena for retail. But then it might make sense for Athena for healthcare, meaning the learning doesn't always cross over because the terminology is so vastly different. But insight, you could say, is critical in manufacturing, but it's
Yes.
life-saving, life-threatening in healthcare, right? So are you deploying Athena across industry or by
So
industry?
I would say, like, can you have one employee work in 5 departments? Not. Like you need. So Athena as a AI can work in multiple departments, but not the same copy of Athena. Athena with a tweak. So when you deploy Athena, first question is, what's the domain? You want a finance analyst or a supply chain analyst, a production analyst, or a HR analyst. So we ask that question, what is that employee you are looking for? So when you want to hire a finance Athena's that first 70% of knowledge is finance data. And then if you hire supply chain, it's that. So today we have Athena's have 21 different domain or 21 avatars, you can call. It may be even same company. In the same company, the e-commerce company we started with supply chain, they really loved it because Athena started interacting a little bit sales. The sales team came and asked, oh, can you guys integrate with my Shopify data, like all the e-commerce data? Yep, but not same, more tweaked. Now you ask a lot of sales. Now, marketing team looked at it. Oh, we are struggling. We are advertising in Facebook, all these different Google and all that, a lot of data coming. I don't know the conversion. I'm getting a lot of dashboard, but can Athena help? Yes. We have a marketing analytics Athena. That's kind of how it goes.
All right. So I see that you guys are part engineers, part psychologists, part linguists, because the learning that you must get from the training of the person or the background of the person and how they interact must be so, like maybe you have somebody who asks very precise questions because of their background and training. Have you started to identify the looseness of the use of the English language by training? Because I just automatically, because I'm a sales guy, right? I'm going to be very emotive in the way I ask, where I imagine that an engineer who's trained to be very precise might be very specific in the way they ask questions. Have you started to notice differences across departments?
Oh, it's a huge difference. It's basically I would say not department, but then if the person is an analyst, not by title. I've seen a VP of supply chain or a CFO, they're really an analyst. They analyze. If they're an analyst, the type of question they ask, like an analyst, Athena is super smart in that context. But when it goes to really, non-technical, not an analyst type, and really, really superficial, Athena could understand, but then they ask a lot of the decision-making questions. Oh, why did our margin go down? Okay, you can ask, why did your margin go down? Oh, there could be hundreds of reasons. That's where it gets tricky. I think this conversational AI journey just started a couple of years back, but it's definitely growing. And so what we call descriptive, like you ask a question, Athena could understand, answer it, lot of confidence. But we are asking like some of these subjective questions, like why did this happen and how can I improve my margin? There are a lot of reasons, right? So we are actually going and the cause and effect, what we call that, why it happened. So what is easy? What happened is easy to answer. Why it happened is more deeper. And what will happen next is future. So that is kind of where the technology is going. Right now, I would say 100%, 50%, and maybe like 25%. That's kind of the maturity. the technology.
Yeah. And the implications are
Yes.
so vast in that you can actually begin, and I'm not suggesting this is what you're doing, but you can actually begin to provide performance
Yeah.
management insight in the way that people are managed, simply in terms of the way that they're interacting
Yes.
with Athena, right? Oh, this person has this personality type, and we've noticed it across organizations, or people with this personality type actually thrive better in a different department in the organization. I mean, the implications with
Yes.
exploring the, let's call it all of the data that you
Yes.
weren't intending to collect will be just as important or just as impactful as the data and the learning that Athena is doing in his or
Yeah.
her job specifically. Are you starting to have considerations about all of this other information that is being
See,
gathered?
we do capture how they are using and all that just from a contextual perspective, but at the same time, we want to be very, very mindful of capturing some sensitive information or judgmental. I think one thing we are all learning about that these AIs, be it face recognition or voice recognition, and many of the things, it could easily, I read that, based on some of the conversation we can clearly figure out, whether this person is which side of the thing, where you vote for and all that. I think we don't want to get into that kind of monitoring or judging the person, differentiate the person. Rather, we are limiting ourselves, even though technology could do it, but we are limiting ourselves to just look at the learning. And even though the learning starts at the user level, we tend to keep that at a role level and a department level and the organization level, the knowledge. We capture the knowledge at a user level, but we don't store that at a user level because of these risks, potential risk. It could be misused or it could be like that. So, but at a high level, I can tell that these are all curious users. Like they are not satisfied with one answer. They ask one question, you show an answer, they're curious about anything. You will see their conversation, questions after question after question. Few people are satisfied. Okay, you give me this, I got it, good. I'll come tomorrow. I'll wake you up tomorrow. So there are two types of user. In fact, what we do today from the question and answer, we made a tweak to Athena that don't leave that second set of users who are not curious. What we are telling them, make them to be curious, is storytelling. Every day morning, like how you get feed in Twitter or any other news feed, Athena is feeding them that, you have, 8 products with price increase and 23 purchase orders delayed. And, there are, there is a throughput reduction in your department, or like finance or, supply chain operations, marketing. We monitor some key metrics and alert them. It's same way, what instinct you have that you need to go click Twitter or Facebook or any of that. They create that. It may be somebody's birthday or somebody posted this. You get an alert, so you go open it. The same kind of a concept that we don't want to leave the curious users versus non-curious users. We want to engage them more proactively by telling our story and, wake them up with something happening in their department which need their attention. They will come and start asking questions. That's kind of what.
Yeah. So please put me squarely in the curiosity camp, because I want to see all that the data can do. But I like the fact that you reminded us all that this data needs to have things like anonymization of who the users are to protect people's privacy and things like that. And I appreciate you and your team integrating that into your thinking and the deployment of this technology. All right, folks, man, I feel like I have associate's degree in conversational insights and conversational AI at this point. I'm going to continue my conversation with Ganesh Gandhieswaran of ConverSight right after these messages. Support for the 614 Startups podcast comes from Nationwide. Nationwide's mission is to protect people, businesses, and futures with extraordinary care. To help fulfill that mission, Nationwide is looking to invest its $350 million venture capital investment fund in insurtechs that will help them create new and exciting products and solutions to meet the needs of their customers. If you're interested in partnering with Nationwide's venture capital team, visit nationwideventures.com to learn more. Again, the website is nationwideventures.com. Nationwide is on your side. Support for the 614 Startups podcast comes from Book and Street. Book and Street provides finance and accounting solutions for startups in the Midwest and beyond. From strategic financial support to bookkeeping and everything in between, they've got your back office covered. Let their experienced team of finance and accounting professionals help your startup get it right from the start. Learn more at bookandstreet.com and set up your free 30-minute consultation with their team today. Okay, and we're back, folks. Thank you so much for hanging in there. This is the 614 Startups Podcast. My name is Elio Harmon, your host, and I'm continuing my conversation with Ganesh Gandhieswaran of ConverSight. All right, Ganesh, we now are fascinated by the technology, excited where this company is going. What is it going to take for ConverSight to go to the next level? What's on your roadmap this year?
I would say we are walking fast. From after that crawling and all that stage, we are walking fast now. So we've added a lot of customers in the last 1 year. We have doubled our revenue. But in the next 1 year, how do we triple our revenue? That means we need a lot of people, sales, marketing. We need great talent. And that means we need fuel, capital. So in the next 12 months, we will be fundraising. And we'll probably double our team, especially on the sales and marketing team. We have a solid product team. We have great product. We just finished our a big overhaul, huge enhancement of our V2, we call. A lot of great features. Now it's time to really spread the word and take that to the next level. So next 12 months are going to be the exciting time, how we can take this company to the next level.
Yeah, so building your team, raising funding, are those tapping into new skills as a founder, right? You started back in 2016. Clearly you had the technical skills, but now you're moving into the fundraising world and you're scaling a team, bringing on salespeople. I don't know what your sales background is. How is that stretching?
Yeah,
to take this company to the next
we
level?
have so far we have fundraised. We have raised like $7.5 million so far, and we are looking to do the next round of funding, which is much higher, bigger round. So, and second is we have close to 10-member sales and marketing team today. So it's a this role they always call like chief of everything. You have to be everything, but at the same time, if you do everything, you will not be effective. So we need to find the best talent, right? So while I have done a lot of enterprise sales, may not be done a lot of SaaS sales. So we are hiring a sales talent and most importantly, SaaS sales talent. Number one. Number two, we all sold and grew pre-pandemic way, where we go meet people and tell story and a lot of collaboration and, really the relationship was playing a big part in sales. What changed during the pandemic is everything is through Zoom now and all these online platforms. So product value becomes so critical. You need to make sure that the other party understand the value, because you are not in front of them to tell all the exciting story. And most of the time, they don't have time, like 1 hour, 2 hours to spend with you to hear your story. They may be just going to the website and reading. So that means we need to have a lot of content, case studies, white papers, a lot of different use cases. Athena has a broader role. Athena can play multiple role. Athena can be a data analyst, data scientist in supply chain, in finance, marketing. So Athena has a broader role. So we have a lot of content development. So my job is really, I'm trying to find the best talent, and that's always a challenging part. Having the best talent on finance, operations, and sales, and marketing, and the product, obviously, that's my co-founder Gopi is taking care of. That's next step. That's what, and the talent which will take you to $1 million will not take you to $1 billion, $10 million, not $100 million. So every time we need to overhaul this talent, and that's exactly what we are at. We have to go to the next level. We need best talent.
All right, so I got to make a pitch for Columbus.
Yes.
Columbus is where all the best talent is, okay? So if you really want that talent, you're going to move ConverSight
Absolutely.
to
In fact,
Columbus, Ohio. Okay?
one of our investors is from Columbus. We look forward to expand in Columbus. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I have to make my pitch. That's my shameless plug for my city. But with remote work now, right, it opens up opportunity to go after talent all over the world, which is what's making the talent market very, very competitive. So I don't envy you in that sense, but I think there's tremendous opportunity for growth here in Columbus, Ohio. Now, I'm going to give you this opportunity now to answer a question that I love to ask founders who are further along the journey. If you were just getting started, right, like many of our listeners who tune into this podcast, what would that one piece of advice be that you think would serve them well as they start?
I'm probably going to give you two, which is actually one, we were good. The other, we didn't do good. I wish somebody told me. Number one is validated approach. Even though I came from that industry and I had a gut feel that this is what will work. No. Within 3 months, we just focused, like Alexa, we need a voice assistant for data because they are just asking. We went within 2.5 months, we went to a customer. We were just in our basement, just me and Gopi, and we were just trying to do. We went to a customer, one of the largest prospect you can think about, big one. We drove 6 hours, showed a demo for 1 hour, and came back. And that meeting changed the project, the whole journey, because they asked, okay, how much revenue we made last week? Okay, 2 million. Who are my top 10 customers? The voice assistant was telling ABC, ABCDs, By the time you hear the fourth one, you forget the first one. That means voice is good for asking a question. Voice is not the only solution for responding back. You need to bring visual. So it should be audio and visual. If we would have built this platform for 1 year with all the capital in the world and all that, we would have failed. Validate the idea. If I go validate the idea with just a piece of paper, no. The other person cannot imagine. So build something, a prototype, small, show it to people, show it to your target customers, not just your friend. Challenge, will they buy this? That was the best thing. I learned early on, I would say everybody, whatever product you are building, you're building a hardware, software, a device, or a new brand or a software, anything is fine. Validate the idea. Number one. Number two, which we didn't do well. I came from a company, very, very large company, and the company was visible to everybody. The branding was already taken care, and all we have to do was sales. But when I started the company, and after my first initial technical hire, the product is ready, I was the only one going and selling. We had early good success. And I went and hired a salesperson. That was a mistake. first we should hire marketing. They need to spend, we need to create lot of content and create the branding. The branding is utmost critical. What I see, I am part of Midwest here. Compared to the amount of money we are spending on branding versus what the valley is spending, enormous. That's something I wish somebody told me that, Ganesh, you have an idea, you build it, brand. I missed that part. Of course, we caught up now, we doubled up our effort on marketing, branding, and all that. Today we are doing a lot. I wish I was in your webinar, in your podcast 3 years back. That's an effort from branding, for example, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of 2 things what I want to share from this.
Okay, well, 2 very profound things, and I like that you took the advantage to give us both sides. I think in the startup world, we glorify the successes, so it's easy to give me the success, but not so much talking about the failures, which are equally important, right? The things that you've done right, but the things that you haven't done so well are equally important, and I appreciate you sharing both sides of that coin. Now, I'm going to give you the final word. You're raising funding. You're doing marketing. How do people get a hold of you? Book you on a podcast. If an investor wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for people to reach out to you and engage with you? Or customer.
Yeah. So our website, like as my shirt says, ConverSight. ConverSight, SIGHT. ConverSight.ai is our website. You Google it, you can see it. You can request a demo. I'm always available on LinkedIn. If you can find me, Ganesh Gandhieswaran in LinkedIn, best. Or if you want an email, easy to remember is info. You need an information. So info@conversight.ai. Or my name, Ganesh G. The initial, Ganesh G @conversight.ai. Anyway, LinkedIn, email, our website. Love to chat more and share and learn both. Love to collaborate. Thank you.
All right, Ganesh, one of my favorite conversations this year. Thank you so much for all the insights, pun intended here, that you provided on this episode. All right, folks, thank you so much for hanging in there with us. We hope that this podcast provided tremendous value to you. And if you're a potential customer, potential employee, or potential investor, go to conversight.ai and get a hold of Ganesh and his team.
Thank you.
All right, folks, until next time, peace. That's a wrap, folks. You can find this and all our episodes on our website, 614startups.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and all your favorite podcasting platforms. Don't forget to subscribe and write a review. If you'd like updates sent directly to your inbox, you can sign up for our weekly newsletter on the website. To engage in the 614 Startups community, follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at 614 Startups on all platforms and join the conversation. For sponsorship opportunities and collaborations, email us at info@614startups.com.